topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Benita Bell-Andersen, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast. We have a super special treat today on New Year's Day. We're starting the year off right. And I have with me Carol Ann Guest. She is the owner of a little bit of a wellness center in St. George, Utah, that I'm going to let her tell you more about. But first, to begin with, I just want to give you a little bit of information about her. She has a Bachelor of Science degree with a minor in health education and nutrition from Weber State University. She spent 18 years in the medical world and then she became a holistic health coach. She has done a lot of traveling around the world. And one other little bit about her was she has done several projects. Her favorite one was helping to build fund and build a school in Bafu. That sounds like a great, it's in Africa. And her heart has always been drawn to humanitarian work. She served the state of Utah in 2011 as Mrs. Utah America. And she held workshops and attended events promoting her platform, Embrace Your Place. So enough about that. We want to get right into it because we have a lot of very interesting things we're going to cover today. So welcome.
Thank you so much
welcome,
for the
Carol.
invitation.
Yes,
so
it's
nice.
so fun to be here. Well, okay, so I mentioned this wellness center. Tell me a little bit what brought you to establish a wellness center.
Okay, so I have always had a deep passion for health and wellness, but especially understanding natural solutions and modalities. And so I've always been in that realm, but 2.5 years ago, I actually had a traumatic brain injury, and I still suffer some residual from that. But it was such a difficult experience for me, but it increased my empathy, it increased my knowledge of more modalities. And so in that creative time when I was down and had so many moments of stillness, I actually created this wellness center in my mind. And I think all things are created like that before they're physically created. So I had this going on. I've always had a dream to open a wellness center, but then I had all this downtime and creative time. And my number one reason for really wanting to do that is to help others who in today's world, it just seems like we get thrown pharmaceuticals. Yeah. But if we can just really learn how we can treat these symptoms, we can actually get to the root cause of the problem. And so that was my goal, was to optimize wellness in my community, to help people on their journey to health and wellness. It's such a struggle. It's such a battle. But once you capture what can become, and it's amazing what will happen.
Well, I know I'm certainly taking advantage of this. Now, again, if you remember from my bio, I spend the winters in St. George, Utah. So this is where this wonderful facility is. Now, we're going to be talking about some of these modalities and tools that they have to help people with their health and wellness. But I'm just going to encourage you, no matter where you are in the United States, please search out these types of things that we're going to be talking about today. So tell me about your number one modality at Level Up Wellness.
Okay, so our number one modality is red light therapy. And this will change your life. And they say that it takes 3 times to actually feel it, but most of our clients, they feel it on the first time.
I think I've been in it 3 times now.
Good. And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
That's awesome. Let me just tell you the primary thing that red light therapy does is it actually increases ATP, which is our energy in our mitochondria, which is our energy powerhouse of our body, the mitochondria is. And so when you're increasing that ATP, it does a lot of powerful things. But also the wavelengths, the nanometers of the lights actually penetrate into the body and do so many things on a cellular level. So you can see an increase in like collagen in the body. You see a decrease in inflammation. It actually is amazing for wound healing. Overall, it just is a really awesome sense of phototherapy for the body. It's non-invasive and it's just really simple. Actually, they've actually referred to it as taking the place of people being on heavy medications far as pain medications. Like it replaces opiates, like people with arthritis or fibromyalgia. It decreases inflammation probably faster than anything I've seen.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. So red light therapy is super powerful. I definitely encourage you to find one in your community. Now, people buy these on Amazon where they have red lights that they put on their face for anti-aging, and you can buy all sorts of them. But the red light therapy bed is the key to the nanometers with these wavelengths. Every bed has specific wavelength numbers that do specific things. And so it's super powerful. So really finding a red light bed in your community would be awesome. And if you live anywhere near St. George, there's only 3 here, and we're the most competitive price in town, because that was one of my goals also, is to make natural solutions, natural modalities affordable for people, so that they can choose that alternative.
And just as a side note, we will have on the website for the podcast, the website is askgoodquestionspodcast.com. There is a download section. And so there will be something there about the things that Carol's talking about. So if you want something that's written down that you can have to print out and go search out for yourself, then that will be there on the podcast website. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
I know it's not something that I had really known about before. So I've been excited to start using this myself. So there's another modality that you have. Tell me about this other one that we're going to talk about today.
Okay. I think more people are probably aware of the hyperbaric chamber. So when you increase the oxygen in a pressurized environment, it's incredible what it does to the body. It just floods all of the, the cells. All of it's kind of like a magnet, I picture. So if you have a wound site, so it's amazing for wound healing. We have a lot of surgical patients who will come here post-op to have hyperbaric chamber, because it will just go to those areas where you're injured, and putting increased oxygen in there, it's just so powerful what it will do for the body. But I think the number one thing that the hyperbaric chamber is known for, among many other things, is its ability to help with healing of concussions, whether it was something that you did last week or 20 years ago even. It's super powerful for athletes who play football, who have a lot of hits that cause concussions. And that's one of the reasons that modality was a priority for us here at Level Up, is because it's something that I did after my traumatic brain injury. It was the one thing I did that I could literally feel a difference every time I did it.
Wow.
It was amazing. And so I actually bought the hyperbaric chamber and put it in my home, and was able to do that every day for 3 months before we opened our doors here at the Wellness Center. And so it was really very, very important in my healing process. So anyone with a stroke or traumatic brain injury, or anyone that has a concussion of any kind. But there's so many other things. I'll share one other example with you, can I?
Sure, you bet.
Okay, so we had a young girl that had a burn incident. And so she was all down her arm. She'd had grafting done. So they had taken parts of her skin from her thighs and had grafted it, but it wasn't holding. It wasn't adhering the way that they wanted it to. And so the doctor recommended that she try, these 6 sessions of a hyperbaric chamber. And so she came to us, and it was just such a beautiful process to see the healing that took place. In the 6, she did it more than 6 times because she felt the difference. And we saw a really massive improvement in the skin, that it was now holding more. And it was just, it was just so wonderful to see that.
Just a testimony for you of the power of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really great. And when I do it, I just come out feeling just so energized and ready. I don't know how you feel. I know you just did.
I do. I feel like I'm like, ooh.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's usually an hour long that we start people at. Eventually people can get up to 90 minutes, but it's an hour-long session, and it truly will change your life.
How exciting. So since it's the beginning of the new year, and it's, people do this all the time, don't they? Where they say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stick with it. And then they typically don't. So how can we shift people's mindset about doing something like these modalities that is going to be so beneficial for them?
Well, I think the most important thing is for them to realize the importance of self-care.
Yeah.
Because if they can shift their mindset and recognize that until I'm taking care of myself, I can't take care of all the other people that I love. And until you're taking time to do modalities that will help you feel better and live longer and be healthier and have less inflammation in the body, it allows you to spend more time with those you love the most. So an excuse we sometimes hear is, well, I don't have time, but you have all the time in the world. And if you want your time to be prime time, then I really encourage you to shift that mindset into knowing and understanding that self-care is so important. Right. And the second thing that I feel like is so important in this is that prevention is key.
Yes.
So you will either pay the price now or you pay the price later. So you get to choose. And so just really doing the necessary steps to increase prevention. The younger you are, we have 30-year-olds that come in and do the red light therapy. They want to increase collagen because they know that it's going to decrease starting in your 30s. And so don't wait until you're 60 or 70 and you have aching, joints that really need it. It's prevention is just so important in this process. But a lot of times we have to shift our mindset in that process to recognize that it's okay. And it's okay to spend money on ourselves. I think sometimes we feel guilty. We can spend it on everyone else, but it's hard to spend it on ourselves. Right. It's so worth it. You're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. In starting this podcast, I was really thinking about, well, what are the subjects? Obviously, being a financial advisor, I was thinking about, well, I'm going to do financial topics and financial education. But one of my things that I say, I always say, start with asking good questions. And a lot of the times the difficulties and the problems that I've had in my life have been because I didn't ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I think about all the time is health is the first wealth. Mm-hmm. If you do not have your health, then it doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, you are going to pay for not having made that a priority.
I totally agree with that. Yes, for sure.
So what are the key factors that you're thinking about that you recommend for sustaining that health and wellness?
So I think it all starts at a foundational level with your nutrition. And it's probably one of the hardest things for people, but it's worth it to take the time to decrease our processed foods, to increase raw and eating vegetables and fruits and greens. Greens are just so important. In fact, I'll give you one little tip. If you eat a salad before you eat anything else in your meal, you actually decrease spiking your blood sugar by over 50%.
Oh, wow.
So you can eat anything green. It can be broccoli, it can be a salad. I mean, sometimes I literally just take a handful of spinach and put it in my mouth. And it will, no matter what else you're eating, it will help so that you don't spike that blood sugar level as quickly. Now, bread is the number one way to spike it when that's the first thing you eat. And when you go to a restaurant, what do? They serve you rolls,
yes.
They serve you bread. And that's, so it's really hard to be patient and wait. But then I always order a salad or a big thing of broccoli and I'll eat that, Brussels sprouts, anything green. And it just really helps with that blood sugar spike. So I think foundational health and wellness is nutrition. Absolutely. And the second is water. I think that so many Americans just don't drink enough water. It's
hard to get enough water in.
Yeah, it is. So
how do you do that every day? Yeah, what do you do?
Well, I actually add a little bit of Relight or electrolytes of some kind into my water, just as a little bit of a flavor. Or a fresh lemon or a lemon essential oil. Any of those help you to increase drinking your water. It's important for the cells, though, to absorb the water. And sometimes people don't, no matter how much they're drinking, they don't absorb it. And so they experience more dehydration. But one thing I was going to mention is there's a book called You're Not Sick, You're Just Thirsty. And most Americans are just so dehydrated that you could actually reverse a lot of your problems and your symptoms and things that you're experiencing by simply increasing your water. And so if you take your body weight and you divide it in two, that should be the amount of ounces of water that you're consuming in a day.
You know, what I've started doing is setting an alarm on my phone. And that's how I remember, because if I don't have something to remember, I'll get so busy with stuff and projects that I don't remember to drink the water that I need to be drinking. And so that's worked for me, is awesome. To have that little, the thing goes off and I go, oh my gosh, it's been another hour.
That's awesome. Hal Elrod, he's famous. He's written so many amazing books. And he's like the happy guy, right? I can't think of any of his books right now. I'm just blank in my brain.
Isn't he the one that did the morning minute?
Oh yeah, the morning miracle or morning, something like that. Yes. And so the first thing he has you do when you get out of bed is to drink 8 ounces of water.
Yes,
and
I've seen that in many places.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Yeah,
and that's a good reminder as well. And then the third thing is just to get exercise. Move your body, and walking is enough. People are like, I just can't do all of this heavy aerobics, or you know what? Actually, it's harder on your body than simply walking. Even jogging is hard on your body and your joints. And then fourth is gratitude. I think it all starts with just loving the body that we live in. If we can love our bodies and love ourselves, and we have gratitude,
right,
then it changes.
You only get one body.
That's right.
You have to be grateful for it.
That's right. And then I would say fifth is taking care of you. Yeah. We're worth it. And if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will.
Right.
And so we talked about that just a minute ago. It should be a priority. That self-care is such a priority. So those are the 5 things that I would say are foundational to health and wellness.
Okay. So thinking about those 5 things, and it's the new year, how are we going to go about setting those New Year's goals? What do you think?
I love that. So there's 2 things. So I feel like what you focus your attention on is so important. And attention means something that energizes you. Maybe it's something that you love or something that makes you passionate, or maybe you're just going to focus your attention on drinking more water, things like that would energize the body. So that's the first thing. And the second is setting clear intentions. So attention with an ATTENTION and intention, like being super intentional, which is expanding our vision and helping us to see bigger and to want more and to actually put it out there to the universe. And it's amazing what will come back to you if you're super intentional with what you want. I've always told my children, if you have a dream, make it happen, because anyone can become anything they desire. I didn't grow up in favorable circumstances. I grew up in very humble, very poor, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. But I knew that it wasn't my past that determined who I was. It was my future. And so being super intentional and setting my goals, working hard to achieve them, you can become anything you desire. And then I do have this book I'll share. It's called The 12-Week Year. And so if you're a production-minded person, this means you get 4 years in one calendar year.
Yeah.
And this, for me, reading this book just really helped me, because when you set your goals in January, by the time you get to December, you already feel like you filled most of them. But if you do it just for 12 weeks, it's amazing how accomplished you feel.
Chunk it down.
And then you start over again and do it for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's so much power, but that's for production-minded people. Another book that I read that I loved was Do Less. And it actually talks about how when we do less, we can actually accomplish more if we're focused and put our attention and our intention in the right places. And so I loved that too. I read that right before my accident when I had my traumatic brain injury. And it was such a blessing, because I was just in production mode all the time. And it allowed me to recognize that I could sit back and I could do less. But it didn't mean that I stopped being me, because this wellness center was created as a result of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is huge. But you're doing it for the right reasons, you know?
Yeah, and it's been such a blessing to so many people's lives. It's amazing how many people we've attracted here with brain injuries. 2 of our very first clients had heard that I had suffered with this, and they came, and she's still one of our founding members today. She's in here all the time. She's a medical student. She's a mom with 6 children, but she comes in to do hyperbaric chambers. She comes in to do red light therapy consistently 2 or 3 times, because it really helps her to be able to maintain her studies as a medical student.
Wow.
So super powerful. And so, I mean, I could have walked away that first week after opening this, knowing I had blessed one person's life. And that was just powerful for me. And I continue to bless many people's lives now in the process. It's beautiful.
Well, and how long has it been? When did you open this?
We opened our doors on April 1st.
So
2024.
Yeah. So you've been
9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just think what you've got ahead of you. Man, this community is going to benefit for sure. That's going to be so wonderful. So you had mentioned, and I don't know anything about this, but your hair epigenetic scan. So I thought, since we're doing this and we do have enough time to chat about that, it's something that can be mailed in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I can do it for anyone in the United States, anywhere. And so what it is so if you're not local, then we send you a kit and you have someone help you, and you just get hair from the occipital lobe, and you just get, 3 or 4 hairs, and all we need is the root. So you have to see the root. Our hair actually tells a story, and the roots store energy, and the roots store everything that's happened to us in the last 90 days.
Wow.
So it's super powerful. So then it's sent back, all the packaging, all the instructions are there. It's very easy. It's sent back. And as soon as it's sent back, we put it in a scanner that goes to Germany, which is where medicine is so advanced there.
Yeah.
And so then I actually have one right here. It actually then will email you like a 35-page report. And what it does is, it's different than having your blood drawn, because this will tell you the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that you're deficient in. It also tells you frequency interferences. So like I did one this morning, and the woman had, she had really high EMF from a computer screen. And she told me she's a graphic designer, and she spends her entire days in front of a computer screen, and it's just admitting. So then we go through ways to help her solve that. Maybe it's doing an ionic foot detox, which is another one of the modalities we offer
Mhm.
here, which will take some of those chemicals and heavy metals from the body just through the feet. So it's a really powerful, see, this is frequency interference indicators. And so it'll just go through and show you. It prioritizes.
Tell us again what this is called.
It's called an hair epigenetic analysis.
Okay.
And it's super powerful. And what I love about it is most of the solutions can be found in food. So it'll give you recommendations, or maybe spirulina, which is a binding agent. So it gives you recommendations that you can actually buy at the grocery store. Now, if it's extreme, then there might be something that we recommend through Cellcore, or there's several companies that I endorse that I just think are really high quality companies. And so then we recommend some of those as solutions as well. But it's very, very thorough, very comprehensive, and your body can't lie. This is your body. It's what's going on. It goes over the four main, this right here actually shows it. It goes over the top four body systems that need supported. So when I had mine done initially, before I became certified, my number one was brain. And I was so blown away because no one in that room knew. But my hair told the story, right?
Wow.
And the second was protein synthesis. Well, what feeds the brain? Protein. But I wasn't synthesizing protein, so it wasn't nourishing my brain. Second was emotions, which after any type of an accident,
you're
people have stored
traumatized.
emotion.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Traumatized.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then my other was my energy production, which I was so lethargic. I was laying around sleeping 17 hours a day trying to heal my brain and my concussion and my whiplash. So it was so, when this report came out, this is mine, that's why I can share it. When I saw that, I was like, wow, this is really powerful. And so I became certified to be able to do this for people. And so we send you the kit, and then you send it back. Well, actually you send it off to a place in Chicago, and then it gets transferred right to Germany. It's really, really nifty. It's really, really powerful.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, you may not be here in St. George, Utah, but you can certainly take advantage of this.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so our time is kind of winding up here. And so what are how would you like to roll everything that you would like to, the things that we've talked about? What are the most important things that you want people to remember and take away, especially at the beginning of the year, and what they can do for themselves?
Well, the very first word that comes to my mind is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
When we consistently do one thing over and over again, no matter what it is, it will produce an action. And so taking care of our bodies consistently, nurturing them, and doing that self-care is only going to bring a better result in the end. Financially, if we're consistently honoring money, and if we're consistently tracking what we're spending, and all of those, trimming what we're spending. We have these 4 T's at our house about finances, but we track, we trim, no matter what it is in life, that consistency is absolutely key. And if I had to wrap anything up, I would just share that I feel like learning about modalities that get to the root cause of our problems can be such a blessing. And everyone is entitled to know what these modalities do for you and what they can help you do to restore your health and your wellness to an optimum level. And that's what I want for everyone. I want them to just have that. I mean, one of the things I would highly recommend is NAD injections. So we quit producing NAD, and this is something you can find anywhere, I'm sure. So I think educating about this is really big right now. But we stopped producing NAD, and they have found links that NAD is directly linked to dementia and Alzheimer's. Wow. So we can actually even prevent it or eliminate it truly. So I do self-injections just like someone with diabetes, but I do it with NAD. We offer that here at our clinic as well. But it's really helped my my brain. Like most people don't believe I had a traumatic brain injury. I'm still dizzy a lot of the time and have residual. But as far as numbers and business and stuff like that, my brain is sharp as a whip. And I think it's because of NAD.
Mm.
So it's super powerful.
So we've talked about red light therapy. We've talked about the hyperbaric chamber. There's another thing that I've started taking advantage here that I had heard about forever, and I never had a way to do it. And that's something called fire and ice. Do you want to tell us a little bit about fire and ice?
Well, I'd love to hear how much you like.
Oh, man. First time I got into that cold plunge, I went, I can do this. I can do this. And I'm just sitting there literally talking to myself going, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this for 1 minute.
Yeah. So that's the key.
But you come out going, woo.
Yeah, you feel really great. So the key to fire and ice is mindset.
All right.
Totally
maybe
mindset.
start with telling them, what does fire and ice mean?
Okay, so you get in a warm sauna for 7, 10, 15 minutes. And ours is at 190 degrees. And so you get really, really hot. And then you go into the cold plunge and up to 3 minutes. They say beyond 3 minutes, you don't really get that many more benefits.
I can't imagine staying in there beyond.
A lot of people say, well, I did it for 5 or I did it for 6. It's not doing anyone any good. 3 minutes.
Last time I got in, I got 2. I was like, I did 2 minutes.
Good. And so when you're in the cold plunge, it's very important to do box breathing. That actually will help you. I'm sure that they told you. So you breathe like 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, and you're holding that in between. And so, but this is the best analogy I've ever heard. And I think it was, I can't think of his name, Huberman, or he's famous. But he said, if you want to get the highest high of your life, comparable to cocaine, then do fire and ice. Because the difference is cocaine will give you an 8-minute hit, but this will give you a 24-hour hit. So it really increases your endorphins and your dopamine. And people love it because you feel so exhilarated when you're done. You've accomplished something amazing. Your body's gone from hot to cold. And so you've kicked in your homeostasis. You've kicked in, your metabolism. I mean, you feel so accomplished, and it's super powerful. It's a very powerful feeling. And what it does for the body is just as powerful. It's rebooting and boosting those systems in the body. And then really quickly, what's this whole thing with this foot detox? What in the heck is that? So it's the largest, our pores are large on the bottom of our feet, but what it's doing is it's pulling out the toxins from the body. And so it's like an ultrasound machine that we put in there with you on your feet. And then what it does is it's pulling out the negative ions in the body. Wow. I did a lot of research on this, and ours is one of the only ones I've found that keeps the positive in there. So it keeps the positive minerals and things that your body needs, but it pulls out all the gunk. And believe me, so the water, it's a 20-minute, and the water at the end tells a story. Yeah. So we have a graph. If it's yellow, it'll tell you it's pulling, it's the liver. If it's orange, it's joints. That means that you've got a lot of gunk in your joints, and it's pulling junk out of your joints. So doing 3 of those is really important in a 2-week time period, because it will really detox the body, and you'll certainly start to feel the difference in the body. So I actually had one day that was completely black. I'd never seen anything like it, just black, solid water. And he told me that he worked at a chemical plant, and that's exactly what black represents, is chemicals and heavy metals in the body. Wow. So yeah, it took him about 5 times until it finally came in almost, it was just like more of a little yellow. Wow. Holy cow. Yeah. So many great things. Yeah. So many modalities. Yeah. So if you're not here in St. George, find someplace like this elsewhere in the United States. But you can come to Carol for the hair epigenetics. Yeah. That information will be in our download that will be on the website. And so let's wrap up. What do you want to tell everyone as they start the new year? I think sometimes one step in the right direction, just a small step in the right direction.
Even something.
Yes, in anything you desire ends up being the biggest step in your life. So decide what it is in 2025. Like, what is it that I want to accomplish, or I want to become, or I want my health to be here, or my financial situation to be here. Whatever that one thing is, I would say consistently take those steps to accomplish it throughout the year. And those small consistent steps could be the one big thing that will change your life for years to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
been
being with us today.
You're just wonderful. We love having you come in.
I know.
A wonderful member that we get to see often.
Carol is my new best friend, because when I discovered this, I guess about a month ago, something like that, is when I discovered it. And it was like I wanted to do something for me for the new year. And so I recognized the value of these different modalities right away. And so we are just thrilled that you were able to be with us today. And we will have information about all these modalities on the download page on the website. And so with that, we will bid you adieu and a happy new year.
Yes, happy new year.
Yeah.
Make 2025 the best year yet.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell-Andersen next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.